in order to be successful. And also, of course, probably one of the things which I think a lot of you are here for is to actually learn a little bit about Reels and how you can create one. So let's first of all start off by talking about what some of the benefits of Instagram are for you as a business owner. Now, obviously, we all know that it's really important to show up, but one of the reasons for this is because it enables you to build the like, know, and trust factor. So if you want your audience and your followers to really get to know you and differentiate yourself amongst your competitors, then try and bite that bullet and show up on camera, show your face, even if it's in a static image. I know it can be scary, but the dividends really do pay off. Now, this leads me to my next point, which is more obviously on video. If you hate the sound of your own voice, remember, as harsh as it might sound, it's not about you. You are showing up, or should be showing up, for your ideal client or customer. So by going up on video, you're showcasing your expertise, you're helping people to really get to understand the person behind the business. You're going to become a lot more memorable than if you just put a standard stock image up. So just remember that you're showing up for them to help them, because at the end of the day, you're the person that's got the key to their problem. Your services and products, you're the expert. So that's just something to remind yourself of. The next time you feel a bit like, oh, I can't do this, you've 100% got this, you can do it, and your customer and client needs you to show up. So how do we know what it is that our customers need from us? We know that they need us to show up, but what questions do they have? What questions do we need to answer? So this is where we look at our Instagram insights. So a couple of areas that I want to go over, because obviously you can go off loads of different areas with Instagram insights. So this one over on the left, this is called your post insights. So when you have an individual post and you swipe up, this will reveal your post insights. So this little bookmark here tells us about the number of saves. If anyone has shared, you have a little airplane icon. Of course, you're probably familiar with the love heart, which is the likes, and then the speech bubble, which is, of course, is the comments. If you go a little bit lower down on the same page, you will then see what's called impressions. Now, the one you want to be focusing on if you are really trying to strengthen your hashtag strategy is your hashtag impression. So obviously, the higher the number, the more impressions, which is a good thing. So what are hashtag impressions? They are the potential number of times someone could have seen your post under that particular hashtag. So the best way to describe this, if you imagine you put up a poster in a physical shop window, this number is referring to the number of people walking past your shop, and they may or may not stop and look at that poster and engage in it. So it's not the number of people that have engaged in it, it's not the number of people that have seen it, it's the number of people that may see it. So that's something to look at with your hashtag. So if you are looking at your insights, maybe you are using a certain set and you're not quite getting the engagement, but actually, you know what, the impressions are quite high that particular day, maybe you need to look at your timings and think of, maybe it's the timing, not the hashtag itself, that's the issue here. So next thing that you need to be mindful of is saves. The saves, they're not a super like. Saves, you may have seen this thing on Instagram, like, oh, if you get a save, it's like the best thing ever. Saves are not a super like. Saves, however, are still very much important, because what saves mean for you, if someone is saving your content, they want to go and look at that content at a later date. So if you're doing a carousel post with multiple images, then they want to go back and digest that information at a later date. So it suggests and implies that your content is adding value. They can see the value that you're offering. So that's a really good thing to measure. And the same with shares. When people are sharing your content, they want more people, you're the expert, they want more people to see what it is you have to say. So there are a couple of things to look at there. Now, with Reels don't actually at the present time have their own insight. However, this number, which you can find on the Reels tab on your Reel cover, refers to the number of people that have viewed your Reel. And it doesn't matter if one account, so one person, views that Reel 10 times, it will only count as one view. So that's something to also think about. So obviously with Reels, there's a lot more potential for you to be able to reach a wider audience, which is one of the reasons why it's very popular, and we'll talk about that more later. So the next thing we have is content planning. So I spoke earlier about how it's very important that we look at different areas or different things that are key for you being successful on Instagram. And one of the things, whether it's networking or anything else in life, you've got to have a plan. Now, we spoke about insights, that obviously insights are going to help you to know what it is that your ideal client likes, you know, what content's resonated with them, what days are actually online and viewing your content. But don't forget to ask the audience. Don't forget that on your stories, you can use the interactive features such as the polling sticker, that's the yes or no sticker. And don't forget that you can also edit that. So you can change those words. They don't have to say yes or no. You can change them to say blue or red. You can change them to suit whatever it is that you want to ask them. Now, obviously, of course, it's not enough just to be posting content that our audience wants to see and actually likes. You know, it's not enough to have something that's aesthetically pleasing, visually pleasing. We need to have a purpose. At the end of the day, if you're here, you probably are a business owner, and if you're on Instagram, you want to get more sales, you want to make more money, you want to convert people from your Instagram to your website, whatever it may be. So you've got to have a purpose. So this ties in with your marketing objective. So if your marketing objective is to get more sales, then your purpose is going to be create more awareness. Create more awareness about what it is you have to offer, create more awareness about the solution, and assert yourself as an authoritative figure within your industry. Now, the next thing you need to also do is test and measure. Another term that you've probably heard of a lot with business strategy. Now, test and measure is simply put, if you have a content plan for the next week, rather than just keep rolling with it, because you might not be getting anywhere, if you have a particular piece of content that resonates, so if you've done a video and all of a sudden you've got loads of views on that, then you need to be producing more video content straight away. If you are posting on Fridays but no one's actually showing up and engaging, stop posting on Fridays. You don't need to be posting every single day. You can post every other day. So it's about actually looking at what works and repeating that. So repetition is key. If something works well, keep doing it, do more of it. If something's not working, first of all, ask yourself why it's not working. And second of all, if you've adapted the times, if you've adapted the way you're delivering it, and it's still not working, then maybe it's that particular thing doesn't resonate with your audience. So just forego it altogether and save yourself the stress and hassle. So the next thing, clear communication. Communication is important, as we all know. Now, your bio is at the very top of your profile. Your bio is your shop window. It is the thing, all those pretty mannequins all dressed up beautifully. You know, there is a difference between going past our favorite shops and, you know, it really catches our eye, to someone literally just chucking any old thing in the window, you know, a bit of paper, and you can't see what's actually in that store. There's no sign maybe. So it's signposting the way for your ideal client. So your bio should immediately, when someone lands on your page, before they see the pictures and everything else, within that 150 characters, they need to know who you are, what you do, and most importantly of all, how you can help them. Now, this bold headline here is searchable. So have a couple of keywords. Again, you're going to be limited on how many keywords you can have to describe your niche. But also remember that you can only change that bold headline 14 days, twice in 14 days. So make sure you check for spelling and grammar issues as well. Now, down the bottom here, we have these lovely funky circles. They are called highlight covers. As you probably guessed, highlights are literally exactly what it says. You want about 5 to 7 because, as you can probably already tell here, they start to disappear off the page and people are very lazy. They don't want to swipe, but they need to address any buyer objections that your ideal client might have. So what can you help me with? So your services, what value do you add? So maybe tips, what's your price point, you know, all those objections they might have. You're too expensive. Well, actually, if you're showing value, if you're showing your expertise, then they're much less likely to object to that. But it's about breaking down those barriers before they reach out to you. So it's one less thing for you to worry about when they come to you about your services. Again, consistency, very, very important. Have a consistent theme running throughout your content. So what this will tie in with your content plan. So for example, social media, very broad subject. I might decide I'm going to focus on content planning for the month, but actually that's going to be broken down into content planning for stories, reels, and loads of other areas. So whatever it is you do, whether it's beauty, whether it's photography, whatever it is, think about how you can break that down into smaller bite-sized chunks for the rest of the month. And remember, even if you are offering 6 services, even if you help business owners and they're from loads of different industries, don't try speaking to everybody. Don't try marketing every single service. Pick one service and one person, focus on that, and then you can always adapt it. You can always go back in with your bio and change it. You can change your call to action, you can change your link as and when you need to, but it's just about having that consistency, being really clear about what it is you offer. So this, again, everything ties in nicely together. We've got a hashtag strategy. This is something I know a lot of you, again, were saying you're using hashtags. You knew that, you know, you usually need to use 30 hashtags, but you're still not getting the results. This will tie in with your insights. So look at your hashtag impressions. If you find that the number is really low, ask yourself why. Are you using hashtags that are highly saturated? So the higher the number, the more competition you have. So don't go over 1 million posts. If you see that you're going over 1 million, straight away I can tell you you're not going to get any engagement off the back of that. Too much competition. Unless you're a much, much larger account, it's too highly saturated. So what you need to do is have a mixture of different sizes, but definitely keep it below 1 million for the number of posts under the hashtag size. Obviously, if you're using 30 hashtags, that is a lot of hashtags. Don't go placing it in the caption. It looks messy. Put it in the first comment. But most importantly of all, have 5 to 7 sets that you switch between. So don't use the same sets day in, day out. And they can be based around your content pillars, so the different areas that you look at throughout the month. Don't place generic hashtags in your bio. So for example, if you're a graphic designer, don't put a hashtag graphic designer in your bio. You might think that that's going to get people on your page, but it's actually going to take them away to your competitors. But what you need to do is create your own hashtag, on brand hashtags. This might be your business name, it might be jewelry making with Tina, for example, it might be, you know, makeup with Angela. But just bearing in mind, if you're using your name, that nobody else has done the same, because it's obviously, you know, there's a lot of people called Tina and Angela, so just bear that in mind. So we've spoken about some of the benefits of Instagram, but what are the benefits of Reels? You see loads of people popping up talking about Reels remixes, but what are actually the benefits, and do you need to even be using them? So you don't have to use Reels, you don't have to do anything you don't want to do, but I would strongly encourage it. And the reason being is because Reels, even though it's not necessarily the new kid on the block anymore, it is still very much something that Instagram are pushing, because it's video content and they seem to love that at the moment, and I think it's going to stay for quite a while. But it will give you a much wider reach, so there's more potential for you to show up in front of people that are not already following you and you don't already have to have a massive following. So you could go on and do a reel, and you don't have to do these finger pointing videos. I know a lot of you don't like those. You don't even have to be in the reel. I had a client that did one with their dog, and that got loads of views. So, you know, be quite open-minded. As long as it is relevant to your target audience and client, it will probably do well. It has a much longer lifespan than regular content. So you may have noticed that when you post a static image, after about a day or so, it sort of stagnates and no one really engages necessarily unless they're already following you. That's because with the regular posts, the first 15 minutes are crucial. So that's why I say to people, you know, when you've done your posts, get all of that organized nicely, and then you can focus on engaging with some of your followers. But also, don't just engage with other people within your niche, because guess what? If you do that, you're only going to be attracting people within your niche. So go onto other areas outside of your immediate niche. Go and seek your ideal client. And you will find that you'll get a lot more of your ideal clients coming over to your page. So Reels obviously enable you to establish yourself as an expert as well. So how do we create a reel? So the first thing we need to talk about before we talk about the actual side of how you put a reel together is, where do they feature? So the one that a lot of us have been talking about in the Ribbon chatty group, as it were, it's the explore page. Now I know a lot of you have already been on the explore page, so a massive well done if you have. But the explore page is basically where you can go and you can discover reels. It might not necessarily be people that you're following, it could be other accounts. So when you go to share your reel, when you go to upload it, it will give you a little option, and you can literally just slide the toggle and it will potentially share it to the explore page. So it's not a guarantee, but there is definitely an opportunity. And if your content is original and you are doing some of the things which I'll touch on later, you're much more likely to get on the explore page. Now your main feed is obviously where you're already posting, so you can share it there. If you haven't done a reels before, then you won't have this, but it will pop up once you've done your first reel, which is what's called a reels tab. So that's essentially a second feed purely with your reel content, a bit like IGTV and that. And of course, you can also share reels to your stories. One of the things I would say to you though, don't just simply share it to your stories, put a little cover over it or a picture over it, and then put a little click here button over the top of that, so that they actually go over to your reel and view it properly. The next thing as well, you may be able to appear on a dedicated page. So if you use a particular song, audio, hashtag, etc., or effects, then that's another way you can reach other people as well. So what should you not do when it comes to making reels? So you don't want to have any watermarks from third-party apps such as TikTok. You don't want to have blurry images. You may have noticed that the reels are 15-30 seconds, they go very quickly. So if you have loads of text, people can't necessarily, they don't know that they can pause the reel. So they might just think, oh, I'm going to carry on, it's too much text for me to read. So keep it really short, sweet and concise if you're going to be adding text. Make sure that if you're adding music, don't just take music that's not licensed or isn't from the Instagram music library. I actually did this. I had music and I had a few technical issues, so I uploaded it, and because it wasn't directly from the Instagram music library, they took my video down, and I had to go back and contest it and say, look, this is what's happened, and then they put it back up. But you really don't want to go through that stress, so just make sure you're using music from the Instagram music library, or at least at very least make sure it's licensed. Obviously, I don't think this is going to be an issue for any of you, but don't post any graphic violence or hate speech. And then things that you can do. So the things that they want you to do. So these are actually things that Instagram have actively said they want us to do. So obviously follow the community guidelines, so being respectful to others and so on. having a hook to reel people in. So, you know, asking a question, saying like top 3 tips on, or how behind the scenes of what I'm doing, but have something that's going to grab their attention within that first 3 seconds. If you're creating content that educates, inspire, and is creative, then straight away that's going to help you with the hook as well. So I've already said about the music. You can also do voiceovers, so you can put your voice over as audio, which obviously ties in with being original. Try to incorporate your branding as well. So if you have a really strong brand image already on your Facebook or your website, then don't forget that you can add a cover to your reel. You can actually make the text on brand as well. So there's lots of different things you can do to have that brand consistency. Most important thing of all, whether it's a reel or any other piece of content you're putting out there, always have a call to action. They tell us to do this at networking. It's exactly the same on Instagram. If you want people to do something after they digested your content and not just kind of go away, you need to have a call to action. Again, with a reel, keep it short and sweet. So how do we access the reels? Feel free, if you've got your phone on you, feel free to have a look, no pressure, but if you want to, you can do this. So the first thing you need to do, first thing first, if it's not in the exact location, don't panic. You may have a different version, you may have a different phone, so it might not be exactly where it says here, but it should be within a certain radius. So if you open up the app on your phone, there will be at the bottom this little house icon. Now there's 2 ways you can do it. If you're on this page, the house icon page, that's the home tab, you can simply swipe across from my left to right, and that will open up the reels thing for you. So that would then bring up the reel, which will be at the very bottom. You'll have IGTV, stories, live, all of that. It'll be at the bottom. Or another way you can access it is if you go to your main profile, which if I just move this over here, which is this one with your face in or your logo. Oh, sorry. Sorry about that. This one here with the face logo, you can then click on the plus, which should be at the top, and then click reel via that way. Any issues, let me know in the chat and I can answer them at the end for you. Right, so next we have how to start a reel. So once you've got into the reel function or functionality, there will be, so this is what I was saying earlier about story and reels at the bottom. So it might be slightly different on your screen, but there should be somewhere that looks a little bit like that. When you swiped over to reels, it'll highlight white, and then this icon here is basically what you would press to film anything. So you're going to have loads of little options, and they will have the audio. So that's where you can access the music library and any audio that you save from reels that you like. Now, not everybody has the music function, so don't worry if you haven't got it. It may be the type of account you got, it might be the version you got. There's loads of different things. I believe some people have said that if they have a business account, they don't have the music function. So again, that's something to have a look at and play around with. But you don't have to use music in order to make a successful reel. You can do voiceovers. There's lots of other things you can do. So next we got the duration. So that's between 15 to 30 seconds. You only have to tap it once in order to change between the two. Now, if you, the 15 is the minimum of it, not the minimum, sorry, the shortest video. The 30 is the maximum. So don't feel you have to do a 30-second reel. If you want to do a 20-second reel, select 30 and you can trim it if need be. Then of course you got the speed, which is just here. You got effects, which is where you can add a green screen, so where you can change the background, add a media and so forth. You got the countdown timer, which is here. So this does two things. The countdown timer, you can, if you're filming yourself and you don't want to have that going from the screen to where you're sat, you can set a 3-second, 10-second timer, get into position, press it and wait for the timer to count down. It'll do a little number on the screen for you, and then just start acting out whatever it is you want to act out from that point once it's ready. You've also got the airbrush function, though I can tell you now none of you need it, but that touches up your appearance. And if you want to start filming, you can tap the middle button, and then here at the bottom you've also got where you can reverse the camera, this little one down the bottom here. So again, it might be at the top for you, it might be slightly different locations, so don't panic. But this one, if you're filming yourself, then obviously you're going to flip it around to film yourself. But if you want to film maybe your office or a product or something, then of course you can flip it around the other way, like I've done here, and I've done my notebook. So there's lots of different things there you can do. And it really is a case of playing around with it is the best way to learn. But don't forget as well, you don't have to film a reel and upload it. You can, if you want to, save it as a draft just for your own reference so that you can learn. So next, let's talk about one of the latest features. So Reels have recently, it was last month, they released a feature called Reel Remix. So this is where you are able to actually react to something else that somebody else is posting. So not everybody will enable you to remix their reels. So if you can't remix it, it means one or two things. It's either going to be that they haven't enabled that you to be able to do that, they haven't given you permission, or it may very well be that the video was before the remix feature came into effect. So it's from that date onwards that you'll be able to do it. So don't panic if you find you can't do it. So once you've found a reel that you want to remix and obviously you're able to do so, then you will have a little menu that like this that appears. So to access this, say you're reviewing this reel here, these three dots down the bottom, if you click on that, it will bring up this menu here. So then you're going to go and click on remix this reel, and then you can literally see their video on one side and you will appear on the other side, and you can react accordingly. You can record as normal. It's probably one of the easiest forms of reels you can do, if I'm being totally honest. I did my first one today and I did it so quickly. It was, yeah, if you're doing the first reel, that's probably the best one to do. And then just click post. So that's how you remix a reel. So seeing all of it coming together. So we spoke about obviously having a content plan. So when you have a content plan, what I would say to you is you don't need to post every day. So you don't need 30 ideas, for example. You only need 15 ideas. You can post every other day. That's the first thing. The next thing is, well, if you're coming up, say, with 3 pieces or 4 pieces of content a week, don't forget that you can rinse and repeat. So if you're answering a particular pain point, so a thing that they're struggling with, so for example, say they're doing time management, you could, at the beginning of the month, you could do a carousel post saying top 3 tips to help you save time. But then you could take the same idea again and use it in a reel later on in the month, so you can adapt it, so you're not having to come up with fresh content again and again. Think of, you know, what can you deliver more than once in a different way? How can you give them more value the second time round, you know? So you might do the reel initially and you might follow up with the carousel post later because you want to go into more detail. So have fun with it. And again, looking at your insights, you know, what works well. So have a content plan, have your hashtag strategy based around your content plan. If you've already got your hashtag sets ready to go, it can save you a lot of time and be a lot less stressful. Obviously, test and measure with an audit all your insights. So actually sit down and look at your profile and say to yourself, if I was my client or customer, is it clear to me how I can help them? Is it clear to me what I'm offering? Is the content engaging? Does it catch my eye, or am I bored to tears? Be quite hard on yourself, because, or get a friend that you trust to actually have a look for you and give you a bit of feedback. And then of course, when you find something that's working well, repeat it. Don't be afraid to, you know, do more videos, do more carousel posts, whatever it may be. If you're feeling brave, then obviously use the new features. Remember, guys, you don't have to be perfect. Nobody is perfect when they first start out. You know, every successful business owner that's out there, they had a day zero where they had to just go for it. And the best thing is to learn from your mistakes. So don't give up. I can tell you now that this reel here that got over 2,000 views, I nearly took that down because I posted it and the text wasn't centered. I was being really OCD that day, and I thought, I'm going to take this down because it wasn't centered, and it was one of my best performing reels. So that's the other thing as well. Be patient. Don't expect instant results. Give it time, test and measure it, and just be really consistent. Don't give up at the first hurdle. So that's some of the things on how you can see it all come together. Obviously, if you want to have a chat, you can have a free discovery call, 30-minute chat with me, and you can book via this link here. If you want to have an Instagram audit and you'd like a SWOT analysis and 7 content ideas, then I'm offering that for £125. But the reason that we're here today, I want to say thank you to all of you, is for the Ribbons Foundation. They are going to be doing some amazing work to help children and teenagers who have obviously been affected by addiction, and that's a cause that's very close to my heart. So thank you so much to all of you who have been really generous with the donation. Do keep an eye out for a follow-up email, and if you want a recording, let me know. I'm going to stop my screen sharing. If you want to unmute yourself, please feel free to do so. I just see your comment, Tina. That's absolutely fine. So, does anybody have any questions at all?
Yeah, I've got a couple, Emma.
Okay.
Thanks for that. Are you going to share the slides, or?
Yeah, bear with me 1 second. I can do. I was going to do a recording and send that out to people that want it.
That's fine. Either way, I mean, I've written loads of notes, but sometimes it's quite useful to have that. With the hashtags,
yeah,
you've said about you know, there was the comment around having 30 on a static content. 30 just feels loads to me. Do you think, I mean, what's the best amount to have?
So 30 is basically the recommended maximum.
Okay.
And so with reels, there's no evidence at the moment, obviously, because of the lack of insight. There's no evidence to suggest with reels that you need 30. I've actually found with reels, I use 15 to 18, and that's actually been where I've got more views, but on the reel side of things. On the content side of things, it is very much trial and error. So I think hashtags really are like the cherry on the top. So you can have 30 hashtags. They can be really good hashtags, but if you're delivering below par content that's not adding value, then that's not really going to help you. So it's all very much about the bigger picture. I would say definitely use 30 hashtags, obviously placing them in the first comment, because that it's basically, if you think of it as a bit like, say you were entering the lottery, if you bought just one lottery ticket, you got one chance out of however many to win, haven't you? But if you went and bought 30 lottery tickets, you got a much more higher chance of winning the lottery. So it's also about the different sizes. So you've got your niche hashtags, which are going to be sort of your location and very much based around the ideal client. You've got your larger ones, which are broader about the industry as a whole, perhaps. And then you've got your small and the medium, small, medium-sized ones. So even though it seems like a lot, they're different sizes. So obviously the large ones are going to be very much about getting that quick engagement. The smaller ones are going to be about actually attracting your ideal client. So obviously do what works best for you, but look at your insights and look at your hashtag impressions and use that. Do the test and measure thing. So if you don't want to do 30, maybe start off with 30, write a record or keep a record of your hashtag impression, and then maybe do another one with 15 hashtags, for example. So you've halved it, and see which one does better. So you test and measure it. Then if you feel that like, oh, 15 hashtags actually is better, then do that.
Okay. And then, sorry, I've got one more. And then what about timings? How do you work out what's the best time of day to post in terms of your client?
Okay, so insights, the timings are not UK time. That's the first thing to be mindful of, the Pacific time. It does actually say it at the top. So when you see like 3 o'clock, it's not 3 o'clock UK time, it's 3 o'clock Pacific time. That's the first thing. No, that's okay, Jenny. Take care, lovely.
Bye. Thank you so much. Bye, Jenny.
Thank you. Take care. Yeah, so it's specific. The other thing is not everybody can access it, but one of the things that I do is if I go to stories and I swipe across to live, I can see the number of active people at that given moment, and that sort of gives me a guide to the best time. But on your insights, the other thing a lot of people said, don't post where it's peak. So where it says like, oh, you've got loads of followers, don't post at that time, because those people are already on. Post slightly before, as people are starting to come on board, so to speak.
Right.
And again, play around with it.
Okay. Thank you. I'm gonna have to have a really good look at this insights. I haven't done any of that. And sorry, everybody, I'm going to ask one more question, if that's okay. What would you say the main difference is between reels and stories?
Okay, so reels are videos. They're 15-20 seconds, and they're very much about quick, snackable, bite-sized information and really adding value. Stories typically last 24 hours and then they disappear, and they can be informal, anything that's kind of relevant. So for example, say you are a hypnotherapist, you might share your favorite hypnotherapy book, or you might talk about something that helps you to get rid of anxiety on your stories. But then in the reel, you're going to say my top 3 tips, follow for more tips and advice or whatever. So it's much more about sharing and showcasing your expertise with the reels. The stories, however, if you want them to last longer than 24 hours and they're adding value, you can add them to the highlights.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
That's okay. Anybody else have any questions?
Sorry, just
yeah.
Oh, thank you. I was just going to say, in that example you just gave with 3 top tips about anxiety, how would you get that into your 15-20 seconds?
So a lot of people, you may see some people do it with voice. I find I can't speak quick enough. So I just do it with the music side of things. Obviously, if you have the music functionality, and then what you can do is you can add text over. So obviously being mindful, you don't want loads of text. So it's being really short and concise. So on the reel, I might say 3 top tips for helping with anxiety. And then I would go like number 1, and I'd have like the number, and then I'd have a point. So it might be like number 1, talk to a friend. I'm not an expert here, by the way. I'm just, coming up with ideas quickly. And then number 2, read a book. Number 3, whatever it may be. And then what you can do, so that's really short and concise in a reel. Obviously having the call to action at the end, follow for more tips. But the caption, you can elaborate. So in the caption, you can have that point that you've highlighted in the reel, but then you can expand upon it. And you can really pack it full of information there.
I hadn't actually realised that it had a caption, although I had. Now you've said it, I do realise that. Okay, so you just do your 1, and then your bit of text comes there. 2, your bit of text comes there. 3, your bit of text comes there, and then at the bottom it says follow for more tips or whatever. But
so with the reels, I would try and you have a frame that appears, so like a blue frame. So don't go out of that blue frame. You'll know. So when you do a bit of text and you drag it, you may have also noticed it on stories. The frame is like the border. So if you go out of that, it gets cut off. So try, if you can, sort of have it in the middle to really optimize people seeing it. And then the other thing as well, when you add text, you can, once you've added the text, it appears at the bottom, you have a bar. If you highlight it, so if it goes white, you can drag the bar to change the timing of the text. So you might have seen where like people point, text appears and then it disappears and then they point somewhere else. Do you know the ones I mean?
Yeah.
So it sounds complicated, but once you've done a couple of them, it does get really so much easier. So yeah, that's how I would do the time, text and so forth.
And just one more, I thought I've seen some people do like I thought it was a selection of different snippets of videos, you know, like one might be a video of a beach or whatever, and one's a video of a forest. So
you mean like a montage thing where they piece together several clips?
Yes.
Yeah, you can do that. You can do that. So what I tend to do with that, there's loads of different ways you can do it. So obviously when you go to a reel, you can access your camera roll, so you can upload pictures or videos, or you can use a third-party app to piece it together, save it to your camera roll, and then when you go to reel, upload the video directly, obviously making sure there's no watermarks, and also adding any text within the app directly, because the more features you use directly within Instagram, the better.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
That's okay. Angela, did you have a question? You're on mute at the moment.
I was putting you on your mute because he's playing with boxes and toys and making a lot of noise.
Oh, no.
When you...
Oh,
this is Hank.
Yeah, I love dogs, so it's all good.
He's very,
he's
very cuddly. My Westie's down here. I've got a Westie as well. When you do your hashtags, do you put them at the beginning of your text? Do you put them in the middle, or do you put them on the end?
I put them in the first comment, so nowhere within the caption. But what you can do, depending on what phone you have, so if you have an iPhone, there's an iPhone shortcut you can do. I think I have actually already done the video on Instagram. You should be able to find it on my Instagram page. I'll have a look and double check for you all. But basically
sorry.
No, it's okay.
It's my uncle phoning from
my ringtone. Keeping me on my toes. Yeah, so you can either have the 5 to 7 sets and save them on your phone notes and then just copy and paste them over, or you can, on the iPhone itself, you can create a shortcut. So it's where you go to your settings and then it's like a text replacement thing. I'll try and I'll have a look. If the video's not up there, I will do a video for you all. Just shortcut.
That would be amazing. Yes, please.
That's okay. So yeah, they're basically, if you have the 5 to 7 sets already pre-prepared, so on the day you're not spending ages doing hashtag research, because again, that's going to take absolutely ages otherwise. The only thing you have to be mindful of when you're doing the hashtag is that they haven't been banned. So you're going to probably laugh now when I say this. If you type in adulting on Instagram, it will straight away pop up with this goes against community guidelines, and you won't be able to see any of the posts. They're all hidden. So if you ever see that notification, don't use that hashtag.
Okay, perfect. Sorry. That makes a lot of sense. It's learning that video. If you it, sorry.
That's okay.
That would really help. It's when you're. I did one reel, and when I see your reels where you're pointing to this and pointing to that and everything, it's like, how do you get them to be visible for a few seconds? I know. Look at him. He's an absolute nutcase. They appear, but then they disappear. How do you? Hey, no. It's all about the Hank show. Sorry.
It's actually quite well behaved.
They're there and then they've gone and then another one. How do you do that? Is that on your video?
Sorry, could you say that again, please, Angela?
No. I'm so sorry.
Okay.
Where you get a video, when you're doing your video and you get a message that pops up and it disappears and then another one pops up, how do you do that? Or is that in your previous video you've done?
Okay. So if you're on about where I have text appearing and then it disappears, that's on the timer thing. Not the timer thing, sorry, it's on the text thing. So basically when you type a bit of text, at the bottom after you've done that bit of text, there will be like a bar, so a bit like a ruler at the bottom, and then if you tap on the individual word, it will highlight white, and then you can pinch from either end to where you want that text to start and where you want it to finish. And then you would go back and repeat the previous steps. So you go back and type in your second bit of text, obviously carrying on from after that point, and you keep doing that until you've done all your different bits of information that you want to appear. If that's what you're on about, that's how you do that. If you're on about the video within the video, like YouTube, then I don't know about that one because I've not done that one myself. I know when I've done it on YouTube, you do there's like a template you can use for it, so I should imagine there must be something similar for the reel side of things. But what I would say, if you're doing a reel, it's definitely, in my, again, it's not proven because reels is very much a new feature, but from my own experience, if you look at my reels, the reels that don't have a cover on, I probably got maybe 300-400. And since I've started putting a cover over, they started going into the thousands. Now that might just be because I've been really strengthening my strategy, but I really do believe that having a cover with a good hook makes the person want to see it more because they're like, oh, what's behind the cover? It's like curiosity. So that might be another thing. And covers you can do in Canva.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I've got.
That's gone quite over my head.
I've only literally just downloaded that. I've literally just started to play with Canva, so that's a completely new thing for me. So yeah, it's a massive learning curve, this. But us technophobes, that the younger generation. Oh, come on, Kate, don't be a smarty pants.
No, that's Emma's. That's Emma's. I was just saying that's what she means by a cover, don't you? Like a pretty cover.
Yeah.
That's Emma's. It's not mine.
The ones at the top.
Yeah. So it used to just look like the.
Down.
So that would be actually her doing the video.
Yeah.
Lovely Emma doing the video. And then I wasn't sure, but then that's where you just make it like a lovely sort of cover
but
first.
You can get the templates by, you don't even have to do anything. All you have to do is literally drag your photo in, and you can upload your brand colors and just literally just use your colors. So you haven't got to be an expert by any means. It's actually, if you use a template, you just tweak the colors so it reflects your brand. It's quite straightforward.
Oh, Canva's amazing. Yeah,
I'm a bit obsessed with it.
Well, the thing that's changed my life as well is having something that's on your phone and on your like desktop, on your laptop. Yeah. So like you can upload, you can create a design on your laptop, and then you can be sat there with your phone and get the same design and put it on. Because one of my biggest things, and I don't think there's an answer, is like the whole hashtags, putting it in the first comment. If you can't schedule that, I'm such a scheduler. I like having all my content planned and blah, but there's nothing you can do, is it, apart from doing it live?
I know some people said that because I don't use third-party apps, but I know some people have said that, like, for example, some of the third-party apps, you can't do carousel posts. You can only do like a static image pre-schedule, which is so ridiculous and annoying.
Yeah.
But what you can do, which is not quite the same, I know, but you can draft your content and your caption, so you got it ready to go for that week or whatever works for you. You can have your hashtags saved either in your notes or the shortcut.
Yeah.
And then on the day, all you got to do is click publish, do the shortcut or the copy and paste, and then the quick engagement whilst you're boiling the kettle. But you certainly don't need to be on there all day long.
No, you're absolutely right. And like you say, if you're prepared enough, it doesn't actually take that long.
Yeah.
It's just,
I say this and I spend way too long on there, but there we go.
well, I do a funny halfway house, which will probably tell me is completely wrong, as I used to just put, or I still do, put like 1 or 2 hashtags in my, and so it's scheduled. So then if I forget, there's at least 2. There's at least 2 in there. And also because I often cross post to Facebook, then that's it. Sorry, we're allowed to mention Facebook. But yeah, because I cross post to Facebook at the same time, so then they've got like their 2 hashtags, and then go back in and put a few in the comments.
I think that's actually quite a good idea, as long as you know that you're not going over the full 30, but it will tell you anyway.
Yeah.
It tells
and
you.
actually, the other thing I think I'm really definitely been doing, which is just sticking in probably the million one, you know, like hashtag website, because that's what I do. So I will be thinking about that. My top thing underlined is hashtag research.
Did anybody else have any questions?
I think I've got a lot to learn.
But so the first thing, Nadine, is don't let this overwhelm you. So I've recorded it. In fact, I'm going to stop recording now so don't get a massive long file.